Tomorrow, Israel is set to mark 1 year since the Hamas attacks of October 7th. And here in the United States, we're getting troubling new numbers about the rising anti-Semitism in the wake of those attacks and the Israel-Hamas war. Here with me now to bring you those new numbers is the CEO and National Director of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt. Thank you so much for being here.
ADL showed nearly half of the Jews have seen anti-Semitic content or conspiracy theories related to the Israel-Hamas war. Joining us right now exclusively is Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO and National Director of the ADL.
Joining us right now is the CEO and National Director of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt.
Jonathan Greenblatt.
Jonathan Greenblatt.
Jonathan Greenblatt.
Jonathan Greenblatt.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Greenblatt.
ADL's been around for over 110 years, and we've never seen data like this before. Think about it, like we are commemorating this solemn anniversary of the murder of 1,200 people simply because they were Jewish, right? They were slaughtered, they were tortured, they were killed, they were kidnapped. And yet here in the United States, that triggered a tsunami of anti-Jewish hate. And it's not just the numbers. I travel all over the country, and the stories I've heard about restaurants being boycotted in Philadelphia simply because the owners are Jewish, about cafes in Chicago being targeted, ice cream parlors in the Bay Area. Again and again, people are being told they can't participate in a conference because they're Zionist. Again, you shouldn't patronize a restaurant because it's Jewish. I mean, this is unbelievable. And by the way, like we're seeing these stories about what happened in North Carolina and that tragedy. And there has been an avalanche of anti-Semitic conspiracies directed at the mayor, directed at FEMA, as if somehow the Mossad is involved in distributing disaster relief. So I think conspiracism is at an all-time high, and anti-Semitism is raging like we've never seen before.
And college campuses, of those 10,000 incidents, at least 1,200 occurred on college campuses.
Yeah.
Has that, I mean, now that they're back on campus, has that curbed at all since what we saw last spring?
Not really. I mean, I think for Jewish people in this moment, we all were in synagogue this week, found ourselves walking through metal detectors and past armed guards simply to worship. And then we have our kids on these campuses. Now, it's certainly true we haven't seen the wave of encampments, but this week, the anti-Israel groups on campus are planning a week of rage to start tomorrow on 10/7, when we are trying to commemorate those we lost in this heinous, unprovoked attack. I can't think of anything more grotesque than these pro-Hamas groups, which, by the way, you know, they were mourning the death of Nasrallah 2 weeks ago, a man with American blood on his hands.
It's Hezbollah, of course.
That's Hezbollah.
Yeah.
But they're waving the Hezbollah and the Hamas flags. And they are lionizing what happened on 10/7, calling it an act of resistance. In my mind, rape is never resistance, but our kids are dealing with this. So we saw nearly a 500% increase in anti-Semitic acts on college campuses in the last academic year. I mean, again, in response to this act of terror, our students are being terrorized. It's unacceptable.
And as I thank you, I just also want to remind people that I know the ADL has warned and federal law enforcement has warned that in and around the October 7th anniversary tomorrow, there is an increase in threat against Jews. And this is in the middle of the Jewish high holiday.
It's really just so awful. This is why ADL is mobilized the way we are. And if people, I got to say something, if you see something, say something. We need people to report incidents. We need people to speak up. We should not be afraid in our own country.
Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Deanna.